Hello, radiant Leo guardian of the flame, child of the sun. Let me ask you something powerful. What if someone whispered your name in prayer last night but it wasn't with love? What if their words weren't a blessing but a subtle wish to keep you from rising any further? You didn't find this video by accident. This message found you because something in the unseen realms has shifted. And in that stillness, beneath the surface of what seems ordinary, your name Leo is spoken into the energy field of the universe. But not from a place of light. It came wrapped in shadows, envy, regret, and the desire to control what can no longer be contained: your growth, your power, your destiny. Recently, have you felt it? A strange tightening in your chest. An eerie dream that lingered longer than it should have. An old connection reappearing without reason. That's not your imagination. That's your soul responding to something real. Last night, I lit a candle not for beauty or ritual but because something whispered your name so clearly, it made time itself pause. And I felt it in energy, sharp yet familiar, moving toward you. Not all prayers are blessings. Some are cloaked intentions, meant to bend your path, not lift it. And so, Leo, we begin this sacred unfolding. This reading is unlike any other. Because what's approaching you is not just an opportunity. It's a turning point. A spiritual interception. A karmic moment where you must choose between the echo of the past, or the clarity of your becoming. Someone close to you, possibly someone whose name begins with S, is sending energy that doesn't match your light anymore. It may have once felt like safety. It may still wear the mask of kindness. But deep down, your soul knows it's out of alignment. You feel drained when they message you. Confused after you speak to them. And yet a part of you still wonders if letting go would be too harsh. That's what this video is for. I'm here to help you see clearly without guilt. To help you name what no longer nourishes you. To help you release the subtle forms of spiritual manipulation that come wrapped in sweet tones and nostalgic memories. Because, Leo, your light is expanding. And someone is whispering your name not to bless it but to dim it. They're doing it softly. But the impact is deep. And that's why the universe pulled you here. To reclaim what's yours. To anchor back into your heart. To step forward without apology. Let me also take a moment to say this. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Your presence means more than you know. Every like, every comment, every share you offer helps bring these soul messages to those who need them most. You are the reason eternal mindfulness continues to grow. Your energy, your support, your curiosity, it's what fuels this sacred work. And trust me, dear Leo, you'll want to stay with me until the very last moment of today's reading, because what the universe is about to reveal is stunning, soul-shifting, and too important to overlook. Now tell me, what called you here today, my loyal, radiant lions? If you feel it too, drop a comment below. I feel this. I'm ready to hear the truth. Let's begin. Because what's coming next may change everything. When I drew your cards today, Leo, the message came through like a wave that couldn't be ignored. The Strength card stood tall at the center, not as brute force or prideful domination, but as the quiet resilience of a soul that knows its center. This card isn't about being the loudest in the room or having the final word, it's about holding steady when everything around you tries to shake your foundation. Strength, in its truest sense, is not fire unleashed, it's fire contained, purposefully directed, consciously chosen. Then came the Sun, your card, Leo's card. It glows with warmth, clarity, and divine vitality. It's a radiant reminder that your true self is the light. But here's the twist: light only fulfills its nature when it is allowed to shine fully, without interference. And the truth is, something or someone is casting a subtle shadow across your light. Not in the form of obvious opposition, but in whispers of doubt, manipulative affection, or emotionally complex ties. These are the shadows that don't look like enemies. They come dressed in love, wrapped in familiarity. And that brings us to the more difficult energies in your spread: Seven of Swords and the Devil. The Seven of Swords is the archetype of concealed intentions, of someone wearing a smile while quietly undoing the threads of your progress. This is not necessarily out of evil, but often from their own insecurity. There's a presence in your energy field that doesn't want to see you move forward. Why? Because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. Your healing highlights their denial. Your independence threatens their control. And that's where the devil enters, not as an external demon, but as the pattern you've allowed to stay because it once felt like home. This card speaks of attachments born from need, not truth. Of staying out of guilt. Of choosing peace at the cost of your clarity. The devil isn't always loud, it often whispers, but they love you. And then it binds. Energetically, you may feel like someone is pulling at your roots. You try to step forward, but there's an emotional weight tied to your ancestors, a memory, a voice, a history. It might show up as that late-night message from someone who used to know you, or a conversation that leaves you feeling drained even though it sounded caring on the surface. You're not imagining it. You're experiencing an energetic entanglement, one that wants to keep you small, uncertain, or obedient to an outdated version of yourself. And here is where the law of attraction speaks softly but firmly: when your vibration rises, the old will resist. It's not punishment. It's natural law. Just as a room full of dust becomes visible when the sunlight finally pours in, your growth reveals where the energy is misaligned. That's why it feels heavier right before the breakthrough. That's why people from the past reappear just as you start reclaiming your joy. They are not tests, they are mirrors. And you must ask yourself, am I still holding this bond because it uplifts me, or because I'm afraid they'll be hurt if I let go? In many traditions of wisdom, there is a teaching: when you walk the path of truth, you will lose what was only meant for your illusion. This is not cruelty, it's liberation. You are not responsible for the discomfort of those who are unsettled by your light. Your only responsibility is to honor it. True compassion is not sacrificing your peace to protect someone else's denial. True compassion is standing so rooted in your own energy that others are either inspired to rise or naturally fall away. This moment in your journey is not asking for more strength in the traditional sense. It's asking for courage, the courage to let go of emotional agreements that no longer serve your evolution. The courage to stop shrinking so others won't feel uncomfortable. The courage to choose the version of yourself that is no longer chained to the old story. So, if you're feeling resistance right now, good. It means you're moving. If the shadows are louder than usual, it means your light is returning. And if someone is trying to hold on tighter, it's because your soul is slipping beyond the grip of what once defined you. You are not here to stay in a role that dims your fire. You are here to shine, even if that means doing it alone, at least for a while. That, Leo, is your sacred strength. There are moments on the path of personal evolution when the disruption doesn't come from the external world but from the subtle currents hiding in your emotional field. These aren't always loud or violent storms. Sometimes, they're soft breezes that change your direction without you realizing it. And often, the force behind them wears a familiar face. That's what makes this part of your journey so important, Leo. Because when the universe wants to elevate you, it doesn't just send you opportunities, it reveals what can no longer come with you. There is someone close to your energetic field, perhaps not physically near all the time but emotionally tethered to your history, whose presence no longer feels clean. The connection may still appear intact, even supportive on the surface, but the deeper frequency tells another story. This person may carry a name that begins with the letter S, perhaps it's Sam, Sang, Swan, Selena, or something similar. But what matters more than the name is the vibration they send when they think of you. It isn't rooted in true well-being for your soul. It's wrapped in nostalgia, in insecurity, in a fear of being left behind as you grow brighter. Their energy often disguises itself as concern. They might say things like, "I just miss how things used to be," or "I worry about you," especially in the moments right before you're about to break through a barrier or leap into something new. But what they're really doing, perhaps unconsciously, is pulling you back into their comfort zone, which is a space you've already outgrown. This is the emotional equivalent of trying to keep a bird in a cage because the silence feels safer than letting it fly free. There are 3 patterns that often reveal their true influence. First, they tend to bring up the past when you're finally looking ahead. They'll casually remind you of the old version of yourself, subtly questioning the new identity you're embracing. Second, they often reappear precisely at the moment you're gaining momentum, when your energy is high and your path is starting to unfold with clarity. It's not coincidence. It's a subconscious attempt to hook your attention back. Third, and most critically, they plant doubt in you, but gently. A message that seems kind at first might leave you feeling uncertain or guilty later, and you start questioning the direction you were so sure of just moments before. This is not about villainizing anyone. It's about understanding energetic influence. Manipulation, when it comes from someone emotionally close, rarely looks aggressive. It often looks like love. But love that does not respect freedom is not love, it's control wrapped in sentimentality. And as someone born under the fire sign of Leo, your soul came here to shine unapologetically, not to shrink yourself so others can stay comfortable in your shadow. In ancient teachings, there's a recognition that not every relationship that begins in harmony ends in truth. The purpose of some bonds is to serve as stepping stones, not permanent fixtures. The moment you start feeling guilty for outgrowing someone, pause and ask yourself, are you responsible for their journey, or just your own? True wisdom lies in discerning the difference between compassion and compliance. Compassion honors both your freedom and theirs. Compliance often sacrifices your light to keep the peace, and peace built on silence is never real peace. As this message reaches you, let yourself reflect. You don't need to name anyone in the comments. But if this resonates, leave just one symbol fire to acknowledge that you've seen the reflection clearly. That you are aware. That you are choosing to observe, not absorb. The journey ahead requires clean energy, unshaken clarity, and the courage to keep your heart open without leaving it vulnerable to confusion. The universe is preparing to take you to new heights. But it needs you to know who you're still tethered to emotionally, spiritually, energetically. Because not everyone who walks with you is meant to walk forever. And sometimes, love means letting go without resentment, only with gratitude, and the strength to walk in truth. There are periods in your journey, Leo, when the universe asks you not to run faster, but to walk with greater awareness. This is one of those times. Not all delays are setbacks, some are divine redirections. And in the subtle dance of fate and free will, you're being asked to look closely at 3 recurring situations that may appear harmless on the surface but carry powerful karmic undertones beneath. These moments are not just events theory mirrors, each one revealing something about your emotional attachments, energetic patterns, and the inner contracts you may have unknowingly signed with your own past. The first of these is the late-night encounter with someone from your history. It may seem casual, even kinda text that says, "Hey, I was just thinking about you," or a spontaneous invitation to talk things out. But under the soft tone lies an echo of old wounds. Meeting an ex or emotionally unresolved person at night, when your defenses are down and your heart more open, doesn't just stir nostalgia, it reactivates energy that you've worked hard to clear. It's not about avoiding people from your past out of fear. It's about honoring how far you've come, and realizing that sometimes closure is not a conversation, it's a decision made quietly in your own breath. One of the greatest misunderstandings is the belief that healing always requires interaction. But many karmic ties unravel not through dialogue, but through release. The second situation is the vague offer that shows up just as you're stepping into something new. Maybe it's a business proposal, a creative collaboration, or even just a small project someone wants to involve you in. And it almost always arrives when your own momentum is building, right at the threshold of clarity. This kind of invitation might not be malicious, but it carries the frequency of delay. Pay attention to the feeling it brings. Does your chest expand or tighten? Do you feel lit up or subtly obligated? Remember that not every opportunity is meant for you. The law of attraction teaches that clarity attracts clarity, and anything that confuses, drains, or redirects you from your path should be gently declined. If something doesn't feel like a full-body yes, let it be a gracious no. The third and perhaps most intimate of all is the message that causes your heart to second-guess itself. It might come from someone you trust. It might even sound like love. But afterward, you feel unsettled, insecure, or suddenly unsure of the path you were confident about just moments earlier. This is often the most difficult to identify because it hides behind care. But energy never lies. True support leaves you feeling empowered, even in challenge. If a message makes you doubt your worth, your direction, or your progress, take a step back. Sometimes, it's not about what they said. It's about how your nervous system responded to it. This is where numerology reminds us of the power of 8, the number of karma, sovereignty, and sacred cycles. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Everything you're encountering right now is an invitation to cleanse the final layer of emotional residue and step into the regal alignment of your highest self. The number 8 curves in upon itself not to close you in, but to help you reclaim your own center. Color can also be a powerful tool in this process. Golden yellow strengthens your sense of personal power and reminds you of your rightful place as a leader of your own life. Metallic violet awakens intuition and protects your crown chakra from energetic interference. And ruby red shields your emotional body, grounding your heart in truth rather than attachment. Wear these colors. Meditate with them. Visualize them surrounding you like armor, not to defend, but to remind you who you are. And if you feel ready to take it further, here's something gentle but powerful you can do. Write down the one thing, person, or pattern you know you're ready to release. Hold that paper with presence. Read it aloud. And when you're ready, burn it not in anger, but in reverence. Fire is not just destruction. It is transformation. In releasing what is no longer yours, you make sacred space for what is. This isn't about cutting people off. It's about stepping into resonance. It's about becoming so aligned with your own light that anything dimming it naturally falls away. And that, Leo, is not abandonment. That's ascension. There's a tender ache that often arrives when someone from the past begins to reappear, not through words, necessarily, but through subtle signals. A name flashing on your screen. A comment left beneath an old photo. A mutual connection hinting that they've been asking about you. Sometimes, the universe stirs these echoes not to reopen doors, but to help you realize you no longer need to walk through them. As someone ruled by the sun, Leo, you are wired to lead with your heart. But that same heart must learn the delicate art of discernment, because not every return is a sign of reconciliation. Sometimes, it's a final test of how far you've come. It's natural to feel curious when a past lover or deep emotional connection resurfaces. Our minds want to believe in full circles, in unfinished stories finally being completed. But in the language of energy, not all returns are aligned with growth. There's a reason you felt suffocated, overlooked, or confused in that dynamic. And though time has passed, it's worth asking, has transformation truly occurred? Or are you being pulled back into a frequency that once dimmed your light? Often, the answer lies not in what they say, but in how your body responds. Do you feel at ease? Or do you feel a tightness, a subtle bracing in your chest, as if your inner self is preparing for an old wound to reopen? The body always remembers what the mind tries to romanticize. This is where energetic intelligence becomes your compass. When you've evolved beyond a version of yourself that once depended on someone else to feel whole, you begin to see with new eyes. What once felt magnetic may now feel murky. What once looked like love may now reveal itself as attachment. What complicates things further is the presence of a feminine influence, someone who may have played a hidden role in your separation. She may not have spoken ill of you directly, but her energy lingered like fog between you and the person you once loved. She was the voice of doubt, the whisper of insecurity, the planted fear that disrupted something sacred. And yet, this too is not about blame. It is about recognition. Because even in her manipulation, there was a gift. The space it created allowed you to return to yourself. This is the spiritual law of contraction before expansion. When the soul is ready to grow, it often must release what once gave it meaning. You may have loved that person deeply. You may still love them. But love, when matured, learns to distinguish between needing and choosing. That's the question now, isn't it? Do I still love them from a place of freedom or from a place of familiar need? Writing those questions down, letting your truth flow without judgment, is an act of sacred self-respect. It doesn't mean you close your heart. It means you open it wisely. You hold space for longing without letting it lead. You allow the memory to exist without letting it re-enter your present. The miracle isn't in their return. The miracle is that you don't need them to feel enough anymore. That is your healing. That is the revolution of your self-worth. The person who once made you question your value may now return hoping for a second chance, but you are not the same. You no longer perform love. You embody it. If they come back, let them. But meet them not as the old version of you who once longed to be seen. Meet them as the one who already knows they are whole. From this place, you will see clearly. Not everyone who returns deserves a seat in your new reality. Some are meant to pass through, like wind rustling leaves, a reminder, not a reattachment. When you no longer chase completion in another person, your energy shifts entirely. You stop attracting those who need to feed on your light, and instead magnetize those who come with light of their own. And that, Leo, is when love begins to feel like home, not a test, not a lesson, but a resonance. When a door you once thought was closed begins to creak open again, it's rarely just coincidence. It's a karmic rhythm, a subtle but deliberate ripple in the pattern of your life that invites you to look again, not with the eyes that missed it before, but with the clarity you've since cultivated. For you, Leo, this moment isn't about circling back to the past. It's about facing a once missed opportunity from a new height of awareness. The universe is not asking you to repeat a cycle. It's asking, now that you know more, feel more, and value yourself more, what will you choose differently this time? That job you hesitated to accept, that idea you put aside, that business collaboration you didn't feel ready for, what if that was never a failure, but a sacred pause? Life often places blessings just beyond our reach, not to deny us, but to prepare us. When we move too soon, before our roots have grown deep enough, even the most promising opportunity can overwhelm rather than support us. But when we meet it again after a season of inner work and alignment, it lands differently. It becomes not just a goal, but an extension of who we've become. In astrology, Leo rules the heart and the solar plexus, the center of courage, creativity, and self-expression. These are not just traits. They are energetic coordinates that help you manifest from a place of authenticity. And for Leo, one of the biggest inner conflicts is choosing between being admired and being fulfilled. Many paths will tempt you with recognition, applause, or fast success, but only a few will anchor your soul. Now is the time to choose what honors your inner radiance, not just what catches the spotlight. To support this phase, bring gentle discipline into your body and daily habits. Start with your foundation, the spine. In energy work, the spine is more than anatomy, it's the bridge between heaven and earth. For Leo, strengthening the back, core, and lower abdomen doesn't just improve posture, it helps restore the energetic alignment that supports confident, purposeful action. Consider simple movements like cat-cow stretches, bridge pose, or breath-focused planks. This will stabilize your inner pillar of fire, your sun energy, so it doesn't burn out, but sustains. What you eat now also becomes a kind of vibrational communication. Reduce refined sugar, which often muddles clarity and creates spikes of false energy. Instead, bring in red-colored foods, beets for grounding, apples for circulation, and berries for clarity. Red is not only the color of your root chakra, it's the hue of vitality, presence, and commitment to living fully in this body, in this time. Nourishing yourself with awareness is an act of respect toward the very vehicle carrying your purpose. In the morning, before your phone, before the world has a chance to shape your day, return to stillness. Let your breath remind you that you're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be to make this choice differently. Use the affirmation, I am the light. I do not need permission to shine. This phrase is more than words, it's a reset. It helps dissolve the residue of doubt others may have projected onto you, and realigns you with your inherent right to thrive without apology. And as you gain momentum, remember, not everyone will understand the vision you carry. Not everyone can handle the intensity of your truth. That's okay. Not every seed grows in every soil. Protect your plans the way a lioness protects her young, firmly, quietly, and with unwavering purpose. Share only with those who water your dreams, not those who quietly hope you'll stay small. What's returning to you now is not a repetition, it's a renewal. The same door, yes, but a different you. Step through it with presence. Choose with wisdom. And let this time be the time it takes root. And so, dear Leo, as we come to the final breath of today's journey, I want to leave you not with answers, but with a soft and steady reminder of who you truly are beneath the noise, beneath the doubts, beneath every version of you that ever tried to make others feel more comfortable by dimming your fire. You were not born to shrink. You were not created to apologize for your intensity, your clarity, or your ambition. Growth is not something to be ashamed of. It is the most sacred act of love you can offer yourself. And if someone else is unsettled by your expansion, that is not your burden to carry, it is theirs to unpack. Take a moment to reflect. In what ways have you made yourself smaller so someone else wouldn't feel left behind? Have you ever delayed your success because you feared it would threaten the harmony around you? Have you told yourself, maybe later, when your soul whispered, now? The truth is, you no longer need permission. Not from family. Not from old versions of yourself. Not even from the story you've outgrown. The throne was always yours. The only question is, will you rise to sit in it? What if you gave yourself full permission today? What if you trusted that your presence, your leadership, your voice, your truth are exactly what this world needs right now? The world doesn't need a quieter Leo. It needs a fully awakened one, courageous, compassionate, and unapologetically aligned with their higher path. You see, when you embody your full radiance, you give others permission to do the same. Your boldness becomes a lighthouse for those who are still finding their way. Your healing becomes the quiet revolution that shifts everything around you. But that can only happen when you stop asking, who will I upset if I become who I was meant to be? And start asking, what will I miss if I don't? I encourage you now to claim it, not someday, not once everything is perfect, but here, now, in this breath. Write it in the comments, not just for me, but as a signal to the universe that you're ready. I, Leo, choose to shine without apology. I reclaim my light, my clarity, my throne. Say it out loud. Say it until your body believes it. Because the truth is, no one can take from you what you've reclaimed through love and inner work. Thank you, from the deepest part of my heart, for being here with me today. For every like, every comment, Every shariari not just supporting eternal mindfulness are co-creating this sacred space where truth is honored, healing is encouraged, and light is never dimmed. Your presence here helps this message reach others who may still be in the dark, unsure whether they're allowed to rise. And your light helps them remember they are. Let me ask you this, before we part. What part of you is still waiting for external validation before stepping fully into your power? What have you postponed, not because you weren't ready but because someone else wasn't ready to see you change? And if you knew that stepping forward would activate your highest timeline, would you still wait? You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to choose clearly, bravely, honestly. Because the universe doesn't respond to perfection. It responds to alignment. So walk forward now, Leo. Choose the love that liberates, not the one that limits. Choose the path that stretches you, not the one that cages you. Live like the sun, unwavering, generous, and free. Because at the highest peak of your destiny, there's no room for gray, half-lived memories. Only gold. Only truth. Only the version of you that no longer dims your brilliance to soothe another's discomfort. And if you're ready to shed what no longer belongs, then step into this next chapter like you mean it. The doors are opening. But only you can walk through. I'll be right here, whispering with you through the flame.